When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle. Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish.
Whoa, echo. The podcast that's here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality.
Okay. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
We're fighting now. We're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today, we're going to talk about height. It's all Derek's fault.
Derek selected this episode, and we're very excited.
Yeah. I like a tall boy. Well, we're going to talk about that. Oh,
I am a tall boy.
Tall boys of like beer. Kyle, I didn't until right this second think about tall boy cans.
Oh, we could have done an entire segment on tall boys.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're not going to. And We're not going to do any of it now because, but first. Okay. We do have 100 words this week. So at a certain level of Patreon, known as the Use Mike's Whole benefit, if you send in 100 words, I will read them no matter what they are.
Yeah.
This time we have 100 words from Alexander Mazzella. Here it goes. Alex here, longtime listener, mossback and bisexual man sadly stuck in the St. Louis area. Here's my 100 words. The queer community is an interesting group. We help each other through our daily struggles, and many of us work to improve the world we live in. Please remember that simply being yourself is an act of defiance against the fascist pricks in office at the moment. In addition, I'd love to see an episode in the future about motorcycles, and especially queer riding groups. And for those interested, I'm a huge fan of key lime and strawberry rhubarb pie. Thank you, Alexander.
Thank you.
By the way, Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
He started that email by saying, "Hey, Mike and Kyle," and by ending it with "Best wishes, Alexander Mazzella." And I removed that because that made it 100 words. I cut it down.
But now you told me about it, which added in even more than 100 words to this entire segment.
Well, great. I get paid by the word, don't I?
Yeah. Let me dust out your. Hold on. Let me look up your contract here. Oh yeah, weird contract clause that says paid by the word. All right. Well, I'm hosting the rest of this, Mike. You shut your fucking mouth.
No.
Okay.
You can't make me.
Okay.
Thanks, Alexander. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the support.
Yeah.
And thanks for using my hole.
Yeah. Use Mike's hole.
Okay, feedback and corrections. I told you when we were doing the planning for the episode, the news is such a downer. I want to make it less of a downer by saying nice things that people have said to us.
You want to bring us up before you drop us off that cliff.
Exactly right. So feedback and corrections. This one's from Rich. Hi there, longtime listener. Enjoyed your episode gangbangs. I thought I'd share I coordinated my own gangbang in a hotel room about 10 years ago, so it is possible to coordinate and be the center of the action. There were 13 tops, 17 loads deposited, and very hot. Also thought I'd mention there is a site called Cum Dump Sluts that you might find of interest if you're looking for something new to watch. LOL. Keep up the great work. Love your book too, Rich. And of course, the LOL in that was lots of lube.
I forgot about that. Good work coordinating and being the center of attention. That takes a lot. That's like your next interview question can be multitasking. That's your answer right there. You got it down.
Yep. And here's another one.
Oh,
great. Good afternoon, you two. I stumbled across your podcast a few months ago and have been binging it since then. I just wanted to send you a quick thank you for your frank vulnerability and sharing your own insecurities concerning your relationship, Mike. Although my partner and I only have a handful of years between us, when we began dating, there were plenty of jokes that I was a cradle robber and that he was taking advantage of me, etc. We both work in the same field, performing arts. Perhaps it is because of my innate self-depreciation that I never was truly worried that he was taking advantage of any semblance of status I might have within the community. I find myself with a different weight. I am the older of the two of us in a higher professional position of influence, and yet due to lingering financial constraints post-COVID, I'm currently making far less than he is. So I wrestle with the self-worth and sustainability of the relationship because now I'm fiscally reliant on him for the time being. I do know that he is not in the relationship for the money, but it's most certainly a thing, you know? Anyway, I just wanted to share that. I have a feeling that normally the older individual is more financially stable, etc., but I'm in what I assume is a unique position at the moment. Thank you again. I look forward to listening to more great conversations in the future. Kyle.
Kyle, I liked you until your name.
I still like you.
Okay. No, that is a really unique situation that I'm sure is like not that unique. I'm sure other people have that situation where they're in income disparate relationships where the older one makes less.
And especially on the coasts, like I think in the big like tech bubble that is Seattle, there are a lot of really young kids that are making a lot of money because they're nerds. And I imagine it's more of a thing here than in most of the rest of the country.
Yeah,
I think
that would make sense, especially with engineers.
Yeah, and also engineers love daddies. So
do they?
No, I don't know.
Okay. I was like, we need to do an entire episode on engineers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Put that on the list.
Put it on the list.
Great. Now the news. Shut your mouth hole. It's time for your ear holes. News. Kyle.
Mike.
The news is awful.
Yeah. But it kind of has to be because like if we were to pretend like if you just picked out good news stories, it'd be like ignoring the realities of what's happening, which we don't want to do.
But sometimes you do want to do, and it's okay sometimes.
True. That's true. That's true.
News the first.
Fuck,
I almost said his name. President Dickbag Fuckface Asshole and his administration have started coming for paupers.
Now it's personal. Now, finally, it gets personal.
Yep. Double Scorpio, a company that sells lube, clothing, and accessories, as well as Double Scorpio Cleaner, a popular brand of poppers, and one that I did live on stage, I believe, in front of a whole audience in New Orleans as part of Pride 48, has announced that it is stopping all operations following an FDA search and seizure at its offices. The FDA is currently under the purview of Robert F. Kennedy Wormbag Brainfuck Jr., who in the past has said that he believes poppers cause AIDS. Yeah, Double Scorpio, they've stopped all operations, and they said in a release, a statement, that they believe that the FDA has performed similar actions toward other manufacturers and sellers of poppers. And it very much is, it seems like it's not a like, this is a temporary shutdown. They said, quote, "Thank you to everyone who has supported us these last 8 years. We've always cared about making an authentic product and being engaged with and supporting our community."
This is like, I didn't know that we needed to have a whole legalized poppers campaign.
Well, and I didn't realize that the administration was so pro dirty VCR.
Yeah, our VCRs are going so dirty now. What are we to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I believe in the public health functions of government, and now I guess I don't anymore, and it's all because of that dirtbag.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there are really important things that we could be focusing on, and this is not one of them.
Right.
Maybe like a campaign to help people know not to mix poppers and Viagra. That would be a very useful, like, health campaign that could help our community.
Don't mix poppers and Viagra. That's absolutely true. It'll make your dick explode. It won't, everybody. It makes your heart stop.
Yeah.
Apparently several other merchants they spoke to, that Fast Company, a news site, several other merchants they spoke to confirmed other companies experienced similar crackdowns. Pac West Distributing, one of the producers of popular poppers brand Rush, has also wiped its website, replacing it with a graphic showing the company's logo.
Wow.
Yep. And you know, it's interesting because it is possible to overuse poppers in a way that is detrimental to your health, but in the grand scheme of things, as controlled substances go, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking, right? But also, like, man, they're popular in the gay community. Like, there are certain clubs here in town that you can't go without smelling poppers on the dance floor.
Yeah, which I still have yet to use poppers on the dance floor. I've never done that before. I just only use it for sex. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't use them at all, but I know that people do, and I support that I guess.
And when you compare everything to alcohol, like alcohol is legal. So if we can be okay with alcohol, then you should be okay with poppers. Like the amount of harm done by poppers is far less than that by alcohol.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, also this whole like poppers causes AIDS thing. Oh my God.
That's wild.
Just,
I worry that he actually believes that.
I'm sure he does. Like he's consistently just stupid as hell. Anyway, news the second.
Yeah.
So, the Department of Veterans Affairs announced today that it will immediately phase out gender-affirming care medical treatments for trans veterans. The decision effective immediately halts access to cross-sex hormone therapy for transgender veterans unless they were already receiving it through the VA or the military at the time of their discharge. So it's evil as fuck, but it's slightly less evil than it could be. They could be yanking estrogen and testosterone out of the hands of people who are on HRT and need it. They're not doing that, but they are discontinuing things like binders, wigs, speech therapy, other medical care for gender dysphoria, and they're not letting people start treatment for gender dysphoria under VA plans,
which is still really shitty.
Super duper shitty.
It's like, let you and your doctor figure out what medical care is necessary and stop getting in the way of that. And most major medical, or I'm sure all major medical organizations are on the side of gender affirming care.
They absolutely are. VA Secretary Doug Collins said, quote, all eligible veterans, including trans-identified veterans, will always be welcome at VA and will always receive the benefits and services they've earned under the law. But if veterans want to attempt to change their sex, they can do so on their own dime.
Fuck that.
Fuck that guy, shitbag.
Yeah.
Kyle, he's officially nominated for Dickbag Fuckface Asshole 2025.
And especially like around such flowery, nice words, everyone is always welcome, except if you're trans. Like,
right. Yeah.
No, like you don't understand what welcoming means.
And in case anybody who's listening, that this might be a thing that you need to hear, that language doesn't sound that horrible if you are on sort of the wrong page when it comes to trans people. He said, if veterans want to attempt to change their sex, that is not what is happening for trans people.
Right.
That it's not an attempt. It's about gender. It's not about sex.
Yeah.
Sometimes body dysmorphia is a function of having a trans brain, and it feeds into the narrative that somebody just wakes up one day and says, I want to be a girl now. And that's not how it fucking works.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like buying clothes. It's not discretionary. It saves lives. And it's this idea that like somebody else should have to pay for it because it's not real medicine. It is just so dangerous and awful and incorrect.
I think more people regret like their Harry Potter tattoos than regret gender affirming care.
People regret knee surgery more than they regret bottom surgery. That's a thing that I was reading about just last night.
Yeah.
News the last, Kyle, and then we'll get out of here and back into happier times. But,
okay.
Democratic Delaware Congresswoman Sarah McBride, the first out trans member of Congress, was misgendered intentionally by Texas Republican Representative Keith Self at a House Foreign Affairs Committee subpanel on Europe meeting last week. Repeatedly referred to Congresswoman McBride as Mr. McBride. And then she handled it really very elegantly and luckily had a straight white cis dude like jump in and help defend so that she didn't look like the crazy person pushing back. Representative Bill Keating, ranking Democrat from Massachusetts, demanded a correction, and instead of apologizing, Representative Asshole abruptly adjourned the hearing.
Wow. So then they didn't get their actual shit done that they needed to.
Nope, they did not get their actual shit done. So then later, Congresswoman McBride, in a press conference, said, "quote I wish that they would spend even a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me." thinking about how to lower the costs for American families. I wish they would spend a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, figuring out how to make government actually work better, rather than making it work worse in order to prove that government can't work. She said, quote, "The Republican Party is obsessed with culture war issues. It is weird. It is bizarre. And the American people deserve serious legislators, serious elected officials who are focused on bringing people together to deliver real results for the American people, not to play games and not to engage in schoolyard taunts. We will not take a lecture on decorum from a party that incited an insurrection." Yeah, she also said that she thought it was great that she should, quote, "I appear to live rent free in their minds," them being Republicans.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a badass bitch.
Yeah. She's, man, doing what I think I could never do, which is like maintaining a lot of poise. And like you said, like really well spoken in her response to what's happening. So I'm glad that she's the one that is up there facing people in the way that she is. I think we're fortunate to have her on our side, and it sucks. I did not realize they adjourned the meeting after that. She is, like she said, like they're not actually doing things that help the government. They're like misgendering and adjourn. That's your plan of attack. Like, how does that help anyone?
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you see the clip of that, it's absolutely hilarious.
I couldn't watch it because it's so uncomfortable how intentional and shitty. Like, just don't be an asshole. Just stop being assholes. That's all that I want from them.
Well, and in this case, he tried to do the like. He tried to say that whatever order it was, that the White House had clarified that this is how we're supposed to comport ourselves, kind of a thing. Like, I forget exactly what he said in the hearing, but he was like, "No, we have to now because she's a dude," basically, right? Like, so fucking stupid. Grow up.
Yeah, grow up.
Great, that's the news.
That's the news. Speaking of people we are elegant and well spoken, I want to thank the following new Patreon members. Thank you to Lorenzo D'Amico, maybe.
Does it say Lorenzo D'Amico?
Yes, that's his name. Then we have Oops, all Zarek Dominico. We have Hey There, Meathead Ranger.
Hey there, Meathead Ranger.
We have, none of these are actually what they put. We have Surprise, it's Mondo.
Surprise.
And we have Hola Bunny 31.
Hola Bunny 31.
No, it's just Bunny 31. I added in the beginning of all those names.
Oh, I appreciate
to
that.
treat everyone equally. Yeah, if you want ad-free episodes a day early, if you want to support the show, I don't know if people know this. We use funds from Patreon to help support the tour that we're doing. Because we do not earn money on the tour. So Patreon helps us do things like go visit people and do our show live. So thank you for the support. If you want to help us, go to patreon.com/Gayish podcast.
Do it.
And
use my hole.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about height?
I want to talk about height, Kyle.
Okay. Other than, I know Derek suggested this, which is why we're doing it. Why else are we doing it?
Well, because tall boys are hot, I guess.
Thank you.
I don't know what else to say.
Okay, because I'm a tall boy.
Yeah, I do think. Okay.
You think I'm beautiful?
Great. Let's right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Well, no, let me back up. Gay men and their bodies have a strange relationship, unlike the relationship that straight men have with their bodies, I think.
Yeah.
And it is a natural thing for things like height, musculature, penis size, attractiveness of the face, like a whole bunch of stuff. Weirdly, shoe size when you're in junior high. There's like, but there's a bunch of, I think, important things to talk about when it comes to men's bodies and how being a gay man, it's hard or different. And I know that height is one of them. We've talked about some stuff with you and your height. So
yeah,
like let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, but now right out of the gate, Kyle.
Yeah.
What is tall? What does tall mean?
Oh God. Okay. I thought you were going to say what is height, and I was
Because
going to leave this podcast.
yeah, no, I'm glad to have you on the edge, but not coming yet. So there is this old adage that like tall is anybody taller than me, right?
Mm.
And for other people, it's like there's a tall, not tall line that's a number of that's a it's 6 foot or it's 5'10" or it's
I was going to say maybe 5'10" and above is tall for men.
Okay.
Surely there's a more. Do you have data on this that's a little bit more educated than me just guessing a number?
I mean, I do have a little bit of data on it that I was not prepared to share because data is your thing. But
okay. Share it. Do it.
It very much depends on the country. So if this is the history of height, Kyle, here we go.
Okay, let's do it.
But basically, like, you can't say that human height is homogeneous. It is very much, as you look across the globe, dependent on where geographically and ethnically and economically a person is that determines their height. So
economically.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that. So,
okay.
But the tallest people in the world are the Dutch, and men in the Netherlands average 6 feet in height.
Wow.
Average. I am below average at 5'11" and a half. I'm below average in the Netherlands.
Yeah. That's wild. No wonder everyone calls them so beautiful.
Well, I remember I got off the airplane in Schiphol, which is the big airport in Amsterdam, and went to the bathroom, and I was like, why is this urinal at my belly button? Like, they were so high off the ground because that's where the dudes' dicks are, I guess. Anyway, yeah, okay. So talking about the history of height, though, I told you that I wanted to share a thing that was really confusing for me that I discovered through all of this, and it doesn't have anything to do with gay people, unfortunately. We'll have to get into that later. But I always had it in my head that like the old-timey ancient people were all tiny as hell.
Yeah, they were cavemen, so they were hunched over.
Well, hunched over, but then also smaller.
And smaller.
Right?
I did have the idea that people have been getting taller over time.
And so did I, and it is incorrect. And that's where we bring in economics a little bit. So it turns out that there were some ancient human populations that were very tall. Even taller than modern countries in terms of average height. So there were in the Paleolithic era in India, and during the Mesolithic period, there were groups of humans where men were on average 6 feet tall.
Wow.
And like, wow, indeed. So what happened? Because then, we see the agricultural revolution, and people stop being hunter-gatherers and they start raising crops and raising animals and slaughtering them to eat them. And height starts going down and down pretty rapidly for a lot of places. So then fast forward, the ancient Greeks, men were only 5'5" on average.
Wow.
And the Romans were slightly taller, but they were Roman men were 5'7". And women follow similar patterns, just a few inches below the average male height. In England, in the first half of the 18th century, so the 1700s, the average height of an English man was 5'5". The average height of an Irish man was 5'6". And the reason for this, the thought for this, is why we need to talk about economics also.
Okay.
First, it's hypothesized that the reason that these hunter-gatherers in these places were so tall is because they had such high amounts of protein in their diet, and that their nutrition is calorically dense, and that's why. And so we can look at like the height differences between North Koreans and South Koreans. North Korea is a totalitarian regime that has gone through periods of famine because of the way that their government runs. And famine causes people to not be as tall. North Koreans are measurably shorter than South Koreans, and economics is why.
I thought it was just drinking a lot of milk makes you tall.
Well, okay, that's nutrition. You got to be able to pay for the milk, Kyle.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to have that milk.
Mm-hmm. I think that was a campaign by the milk people because I don't think that actually helps.
It's supposed to be good for your bones or whatever.
Yeah. Sally Field told us it helped for our osteoporosis.
Yeah.
Or did she have a yogurt she was telling us? Or was it Boniva? I forget. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Jamie Lee Curtis and the poop yogurt?
No, Sally Field sold us something for osteoporosis, but I forget what it was. I forget if it was like a yogurt or a pill.
Yeah. Yep. So, okay. So those factors are still at play, and it's really easiest to look at country to country. And even then, geography has quite a bit to do with it. It turns out that being tall is evolutionarily adaptatious.
So
Evolutionarily adaptatious? Yeah. Being tall, it makes you better at dealing with the cold. And so that's why all of these like white people, all of these Nordic ass Scandinavian white people are taller, because we really have like genetically selected for height, because it makes it easier to deal with fucking cold ass winters.
Why does being taller help you stay? I thought maybe if you're like littler, you'd like be able to bundle up more.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I don't know that I got a really good answer for that when I was looking into it. It was something to do with the amount of blood that is circulating and the way in which it circulates. Apparently, if you're little, you're better at letting heat out than taller people, and you can have a bigger torso and therefore a higher volume of core insides warmed up, which is what you don't want if you're around the equator. So like some of the shortest people in the world are all like right around the tropics, like right around the equator. And like I think about it when I was in Ecuador, like the average height of a man in Ecuador is like 5'3" or something, like, and it was hot as hell there. Anyway, so yeah, it's there are trends, and the United States is pretty average, and a lot of people think that that's maybe because of multiculturalism, that we've got lots of different kinds of people that live here, and they're interbreeding, and that leads to less extreme of a height situation for us. But yeah, I just wanted to point out in the history of height here that there were some ancient peoples who were very, very tall. Agriculture made us all shorter, and then the Industrial Revolution made us start getting taller. And that I need to revise my like general idea of human height history, because it's not true that we just were shorter and shorter and shorter as we go back in time.
I thought like because our basketball team recruits really tall people to come play for us, that our height would have been taller than average.
We've been importing tallness.
Yep. Yao Ming, he played for the Rockets. He was super tall.
Yes. And the tallest married couple in the world was him and his basketball player wife, because he was 7 foot something and she was 6 foot something, and combined they were the tallest married couple. Also, this is really depressing, but maybe like worth saying. Apparently, during the days of the slave trade, African enslaved people from Africa were taller on average by a couple of inches than the white people that oppressed them. And there are some people that will point to that as part of the reason why people in the Southeast, even if they're white, are a little taller. Yeah. Anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's it. I don't know. Tell me something, Kyle.
I'll tell you some Gata.
Great.
This is pretty quick, but I think interesting Gata. This is called Sexual Orientation, Objective Height, and Self-Reported Height by Malvina N. Skorska and Anthony F. Bogart.
This is going to be great. Whether it's height or dick, take 2 inches off what they say. Is that where we're going with this? Basically,
we'll see.
Okay.
This came out in 2016 in the Journal of Sex Research, which is a peer-reviewed academic journal. Their methodology, people answered a couple questions about their sexual orientation on a 7-point scale.
Gay.
They
7.
yours is 7 or 1, whichever is the gay one. Their self-reported. I think I would do like, if it's if 7 is gay, I think I might pick a 6.
Yeah.
Because I would make
Same.
out with ladies.
Same.
Self-reported height and objective height. And it clarified that a female experimenter, blind to the hypothesis, measured 849 participants for objective height using a stadiometer.
Yeah.
I don't know why we needed to know it was a female experimenter, but that's what they said in the research study.
Yeah. Huh.
I don't know why that's important enough to include.
I don't either. Maybe it's because they're like mostly straight dudes and they stood erecter.
They were more erect because she was female. I don't know either. So some of the findings, men and women biased their responses to appear taller than they objectively were.
Yeah.
So that's not just a dude thing. However, men overreported their stature more than women.
Sure. Yeah. Great.
When you give your height in like dating profiles or whatever, do you round up at all?
No, I say my real age. I say my real height. Well, okay, I do round up. Hold on.
How much do you round up by?
A half an inch. I might be shorter now because I'm in my 40s. I don't know, but like I'm 5'11" and a half, and I lie and I say that I'm 6 foot, and nobody ever calls me on it. And I think that's because I lie less than most other people.
But I don't think that's a lie because you're rounding, and that's like how rounding works.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm saying that because I'm 6'2" and a half, and I round up to 6'3".
And I have seen people argue with you about whether you're taller or not. People like Kyle's like 6'5" or whatever.
I have to clarify, literally every time I've ever been to the doctor and I've ever been measured, it's always precisely 6'2" and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and my middle brother is quite tall as well. And it's the same thing. People try to tell him how tall he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. I know how tall I am, and it's definitely 6'2" and a half / I'll put 6'3" on the dating apps. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that counts. I'm going to count that as rounding. I'm not going to count that as lying.
Great.
But because I think you're right. I think other people round up by a couple inches. And so mine is far more accurate than other people's.
I have looked down at people who are 6 feet tall on the apps before.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's especially easy if you say you're the same height as each other and then you stand next to them and you're like, but would you kick someone out for lying about their height?
Boy. No, I guess not. Like,
I don't think I've ever.
Let's stack rank these things, Kyle.
Yeah.
Which is the most egregious lie? Which is the least forgivable lie? Height, age, or dick? What do you think? Or weight? Let's say that too.
I would say weight is the most egregious lie.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm basing it more on like what your picture looks like compared to what you look like in person. And it's hard to tell height in a picture.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell, and dick size, I don't know. Once I get to the point where I could potentially know how big your dick is and compare that in my mind to what I think it's a little bit too late to kick them out, I think.
Yeah.
So I think like an egregious difference in weight is worth not hooking up with someone.
Yep.
What do you think?
Interesting. I'm debating with myself about like age versus weight. Like I think that there are instances where somebody does not look like their pictures, and the things that affect that the most are age or weight. And it's, I don't know, false advertising or something.
And I'm talking like, I don't need pictures to be, I'm not one of those that's like, it needs to be exact. Like you need a picture from 2 days ago.
Right.
But if it's, I've had people come over that have been 60 pounds difference, which, so their pictures were just very old and needed to be updated to reflect how they actually looked.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which I think is a fair request.
What do you think about the idea, though, that like height should be towards the bottom of that list of lies because we're all the same height when we're horizontal?
That's always my joke about height, is that when we're laying down, we're the same height. Yeah, I don't care that much about height, so I don't know why. I don't look at it that much on people's profiles. I don't really care that much. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't matter that much to me. So I don't think I would even notice if someone lied by a few inches.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me either. It's at the bottom of the forgivability scale because it's also at the bottom of things that I care about. Asterisk, which we'll talk about later.
Asterisk. Okay. Anyway, so both men and women lied about their responses. Sorry, non-binary people. Again, this did not mention anything about non-binary people.
Well,
so
if everybody lies, I imagine the non-binary people do too.
I would, just assume they act like everyone else, which is lying a little bit. So the biggest finding is that gay men were shorter on average than straight men.
Mm-hmm.
So had you heard this before? You seem not surprised.
I have heard this before. Yeah. Yeah. I came across it a couple of times researching for this show as a thing that people said. Yeah.
Yeah. Gay and straight women did not have an objective height difference.
That's
so
interesting.
It's just gay men. Yeah.
Wonder why, right?
Wonder
like
why. Do you have any theories?
Maybe something to do with like hormones. Like we talk about this in the book. I write about this in the book. The older brother phenomenon, right?
Yeah.
Which says that the more male presenting fetuses that a person has, the better their uterus gets at feminizing the fetus because of a hormonal thing, like the antibodies of their body like impact the fetus. And so like we already know it's just a truth that women are shorter than men. And I wonder if some ways that gays end up gay are that kind of sort of epigenetic effect. And it's enough that we can measure it, maybe.
Yeah. That would make sense. That's a good theory. I think a smarter theory than most.
Another theory I have might be like they don't grow as good because they're starving themselves to death because they're twinks.
Oh, because we don't eat because we have body image issues from the get-go.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I have body image issues, but I eat anyway, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's the worst of both worlds, Kyle.
I know. It's like the opposite of that Hannah Montana song. So the additional data point to know or information to know that they found is this study is the first to show that the height differences between gay and straight men is due to their objective height difference, not due to reported height difference.
So it's not that I want to be a teeny tiny bottom. It's right. That like I actually am shorter.
Yeah, it's not like straight men for some reason are more egregious in their rounding up or whatever it is. Yeah. So I think that's been the theory about past studies, is that maybe gay and straight men report different, height discrepancies between their actual one. But yeah, they actually measured, a female experimenter measured them. So we know for sure what their real height is.
They all walked in expecting to see a hot intern, and they immediately did the full body sigh, and that made them shorter.
Yeah.
I wanted the hot nurse.
I wanted the hot one. I thought this was going to be one of those porn videos where they have to see what's up my ass.
Yeah. I saw a porn just earlier today of a guy who was a security guard at a mall, and of course had to do a full body cavity search.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just like mall security always does.
That's what happens at Target.
Yep. Sorry, you're leaving Forever 21, sir. We need to search your anus. One other random finding is participants who were paid were taller.
What?
Participants who were compensated were taller.
Why?
They don't know. They have no idea. They're not sure. Yeah.
But like okay. I'm very confused by that.
Yeah. You should be.
Like, you're over 6 foot. Here's some money. Or like,
I don't think they paid them by the height.
I don't understand.
No, I don't either. It's just one of those weird findings. I think that they had to report, like,
Okay, if it was like this, like there's like a flyer on campus that says, "Hey, we're doing a study on height, and there's money in it for you," I would think that shorter people would be like, "Well, they don't want to talk to me," and wouldn't and don't sign up. Like it's a selection bias kind of a thing.
Yeah, maybe it's selection bias. That's as good a theory as any. It's that you.
I love it when you compliment my theories, Kyle.
I love it when you have some well thought through theories. That means that I don't have to come up with any of my own.
Great.
It really helps me out in this segment.
Excellent.
That's the gayta. Gays are shorter than straights. Gay men are shorter than straight men.
I mean, I think I keep getting stuck on this thing of like that men tend to be taller, women tend to be shorter. Mm-hmm. Sexual dimorphism is a thing all across the animal kingdom. It's not just humans. And in some species, the women are bigger, but like just that there are measurable physical differences between the genders or sexes, in different kinds of species. But then I wonder about if like masculine feminine gets turned into top bottom if there's like pressure for bottoms to be shorter. Like the expectation is that the bottom is the shorter one. Like we see that all over the place, and that is a dichotomy that doesn't actually make sense if you start peeling it apart.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think you're right that it's based on our assumptions of what masculine and feminine mean, and we assume that the bottom is more feminine, and that's not necessarily true and doesn't need to be. And it's just based on, I don't know, sexism.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always wished that I was shorter.
Just because of this dichotomy we're talking about, or
no, I mean, partially because I don't want to be the person that stands out. I don't like being called big. I wrote about this in the book. That's going to be an annoying phrase that we're going to have to stop using after some point in time. We're going to have to stop saying I wrote about this in the book.
I will stop when all the books are sold, Kyle.
Okay.
Everyone, if you want us to stop saying that, buy more books, everybody.
Okay. I wrote about this. I didn't like my weight primarily, but also like height. My basketball coaches would always call me big man when they didn't know my name. And I'm like, I don't want to be a big man. I want to be cute and dainty. So I think that's a big part of it. I want to be the little spoon. I want to be cuddled.
You can be little spoon and be taller.
I am often the little spoon, which I really, boys that I hook up with, that I cuddle with, tend to let me be the little spoon.
In the Patreon segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about macrophilia and specifically Amazons, but also in that is like height extremes. There's something to me about like a short top, like riding a bottom like a backpack. That really, I'm into that.
Yeah, like Dora the Explorer.
Yeah, and I'm just solid in the bell curve of human height in America. I'm like just on the slightly taller, but like I'm average enough that I don't get to be either role in that, you know?
Oh, you don't get to play fun height difference games.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless he real short or real tall, which does happen sometimes and is hot.
Yeah. I see the height differences is something, or should we wait for the Patreon segment to talk about this?
Or for the personal section
a
little bit later.
Like I think height differences in porn are really hot. I care about them less in like my actual day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like when I'm hooking up with someone, it's not like, I don't really care if you're like super short. Like you can be super short and that's fine with me. I've hooked up with guys that were a foot shorter than me. But that part of it doesn't excite me versus like in porn, when I see any kind of difference, like age or height, I'm really into it.
Okay.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know why I have different sexual tastes when it comes to porn than when it comes to my actual sex. I guess that's not that unusual. People have different porn tastes than their actual sexual tastes.
So hold on.
Yeah.
Let's say we're at a bar in Washington, D.C. next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And a dude walks in and he's 7 foot tall. You wouldn't get a little horny?
I don't know. Is he cute? Like that, the 7 foot tallness would not alone be the cause of me being into it. It'd be like if he's attractive.
I would stop talking to you because I would be distracted.
Yeah. See, height doesn't matter like that to me.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this is a awkward segue, but probably a good one.
I mean, sometimes when you're tall, you're a little awkward. So it makes sense for our height episode.
I think that we have to talk about height and penis size, and I wonder sometimes if that's why I'm the way that I am. Like,
what do you mean?
I mean that, okay, there is, whether it's true or not, which I'm going to go into, that like taller guys have bigger dicks, and if I'm going to be like a size queen, like then hey,
Oh, if you're into really tall guys, is it because you really like big dicks?
or is it because they're tall? Because that could also be hot, right? Like you can be into more than one thing about a person, but like, and maybe it's not even worth trying to pick apart, but like, is the people who are tall people chasers, because they exist, that's a for real thing, is that ultimately, Derek weighs his hand, is that because of the supposition that he's hung? And
yeah.
So let's talk about
or
this.
Is there a lot of pressure on tall people to have big dicks? Like if that's the expectation a lot of people have going into it, and you don't have a big dick, that must be like annoying to like let down people with your dick, even if it's like just average. It's a letdown to people that are like chasing after you because they assume you're hung. That sucks.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a study I want to talk to you about. That I know that's your thing. But they were studying, now granted it's straight people, so take all of this with a grain of salt because we're talking about straight people, Kyle.
Okay, fine.
But they were studying, so they had women rate the attractiveness of a bunch of men. And they interacted with, I think it was pictures. I didn't look into this part, but they could see the man and had his height as a data point. And then they were told the size of that man's penis. And they were asked, does knowing the size of his penis make him more or less attractive? What do you think the results were?
I would think there would not be a change in how people would self-report. I would think if you tried to obscure that, like give pictures to 2 different people and have different heights listed and then measure how attracted they are to them, I would think it would be different. But when you ask people directly, are you attracted to him now more because of his penis size, I wouldn't think that would change. I would think people would hope to themselves or lie to themselves and pretend like that doesn't change his level of attractiveness.
So other studies have shown that men are actually more worried about or into penis size than women are, and that gay men, being gay men, are more motivated by penis size than any other category of human. So again, big old grains of salt here. But what they found is that, quote, this is from the study, when the researchers controlled for shoulder to hip ratio, they found that a larger penis had a greater effect on attractiveness for taller men. So basically, the women reported that it made taller men more attractive when they had a bigger penis. Average height men, they didn't care what the penis was like either way. So the explanation, though, here, this is another quote, it's possible that a larger penis just looked more proportional on a taller man's body, the researchers wrote, or it could be that women were biased against shorter men to the extent that even large genitals didn't help.
Wow. I'm a tiny man with a big old dick, but you can't get around my height thing.
Yeah. Also, tiny man with a big old dick, call me. Okay. So I know a couple. They're fun. Okay. So anyway, the idea wrapped up in that, though, is that taller men have bigger dicks, and that there is an expectation there, whether it's true or not. Now the question is, do you think it's true?
I don't think it's true. I don't think taller men have bigger dicks.
So this is another problem with pretty much all research on dicks, Kyle.
Oh yeah, what's that? Is it self-reported dick size?
Self-reported dick size is always a thing. And I'm like, stop asking them that. They're going to lie to you. And then their friends are going to lie to you on their behalf. And then they're going to send in pictures that are documented, or adulterated. It's just, there are no 10-inch dicks. Everybody stop it. Anyway, okay. So self-reported dick size, but they did a study on Italian men, and in this study, 3,300 men were measured for both height and penis size. And it was found that most of the participants who were taller did have a larger penis.
Wow.
Now, basically, it is a man's self-reported height was correlated with their penis size. Very tall men were, in this study anyway, 3 times more likely to have a large penis than very short men, and 3 times less likely to have a small penis. So they broke everybody down into 5 categories from very short to very tall. Very tall was 6'4" and above. And then the group below that was 6 foot to 6'3" on down, and then the very short group was all 5'2" to 5'4".
Okay.
And they basically they discovered that only 12% of the very short group had a large penis, and large in this case was considered to be anything over 5.9 inches. And then 5 inches was the considered a small penis for the purposes of this. And then 5.0 to 5.9 inches was the average range. But basically that, like, the smallest group, the smallest dudes, 22% had a small penis, 66% had an average penis, and 12% had a large penis. The tallest group, it was 7% had a small penis, 57% had an average penis, and 36% had a large penis. So at least in this study, it seems to back up that there is indeed a big correlation. But here's the thing. I don't think an inch is a thing to worry about. Like, I think the fact that the 3 groups were under 5, 5 to 6, and over 6, 5.9, whatever, I don't know that I would label that as small, medium, and large. And I don't know that there's a so what here.
Well, like 5 is pretty average. I mean, it's like, isn't the average like 5.5 or something like that? Like,
yeah, which is the middle of what they said was average in this study.
But like 5 inches isn't small then.
Right. Exactly.
And they're calling that small, which I don't know that I agree with.
Exactly. It feels to me like they maybe flattened the data in a way that makes it so it's not that interesting. And I'm not sure. Now, if it was like, if we wanted to call small like under 4, and if we wanted to call average 4 to 7, and we wanted to call large over 7, I wonder what these curves would look like.
Yeah. Same. Well, and if this is self-reported, I wonder if tall people feel the expectation to have a bigger dick and tend to like round up, lie.
Yep. The other thing that they looked at was digit ratio, which is also maybe related, but they looked at the height, weight, age, and digit ratio. That's the difference between the length of the middle finger, ring finger, and pointer finger. And they found that height mattered, but that it only related to the flaccid length and not the length when erect.
Oh, interesting. I don't know my flaccid length. I've never measured that.
I feel like it's different. Did I just get out of the shower? Have I been running around outside in a blizzard? Like, I don't think it's not a constant.
Yeah. That's a difficult one. Yeah.
And no correlation has been found at all between big feet and penis size. But turns out that a taller man with a long index finger may have a longer penis and probably has bigger feet, but like those correlations aren't as strong as we might think. Anyway, that's all my stuff about dicks, Kyle.
Okay, let's talk about the phrase height, weight, proportionate.
Oh my God. So fucking Oh my God.
Well, you had a big reaction to that right out of the gate. Why is that?
I think that is just like a scientific sounding term for don't be fat,
Yeah.
right? Like I prefer height, weight, proportionate dudes. Okay, great. Is that me or not? Shut up. Like, like you just mean don't be fat. That's what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So this is based on a research paper called, this is a lot of research papers in this episode.
Well, we're talking about human bodies, Kyle.
We're talking about human bodies. We got to bring the data. This is called the Quantifiable Body Discourse: Height, Weight, Proportionality, and Gay Men's Bodies in Cyberspace by Brandon Andrew Robinson. This came out in 2015 in Social Currents, which is a peer-reviewed journal. And he interviewed people from Adam for Adam.
Yeah.
Have you used that before?
Oh yeah. Adam for Adam.
Yeah.
I mean, before Grindr, that's all we had. When I first came out of the closet, it was like that and Manhunt and gay.com or whatever.
Gay.com and Craigslist.
And Craigslist if you nasty.
If you nasty, for sure. So here
or wanted to die.
or
both, I guess.
Yeah. I wanted a hot time and I didn't care about my life. So that's why I used Craigslist. I wrote down some of the quotes from the paper that I thought were interesting, and some of them had to do with height. So the first one says, quote, "As long as you are fit, I don't think it matters. At least height and weight proportionate. That is actually a lot better than, oh, you were extremely ripped. Yeah, but can you hug yourself?" And I also think, and also the fat people, oh, can you touch your toes? I know you're nice and all, but I don't think I would want to lift up flab if I ever get to that point.
Oh, God. Jesus.
Yeah. So I think this person seems to me to be justifying their use for height, weight, proportionate as a better way of saying what he actually means, which is not fat people, but trying to justify that it's a nicer approach, which I think we all can see through it.
It's a meaningless term, right? Like, what are the proportions? What, like you were talking about, you're trying to make an objective thing. You're trying to make a subjective thing sound objective by using math terms, words.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. What proportions are we looking for when you say that?
Yep.
Yeah. Someone else says, I was looking for people who were, I guess, with a BMI between 21 and 28, like the normal average person range. Of course, I liked men who were a little bit taller. I'm a tall person, so it's a bit strange with somebody who is 5'4". So yeah, just people of average composition.
That's slightly nicer, although BMI is just used sometimes as a stand-in for fatness. Right.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm really surprised someone has like a specific BMI range that they know of. Like, we don't say BMI on it. Are they like calculating their BMI based on reported height and weight on people's profiles? Like,
and also BMI says nothing about composition. Like, that is your weight and your height. And that is it. It says nothing about musculature or body weight, body fat percentage. So Jacked Mike was always really just very upset at his BMI, which was stupid. It's like,
wait, why?
Because I was always like on the cusp of being not obese, whatever the one is right below that. I was never in the like normal range because I'm a big boy, and when that was muscle instead of fat, the numbers still said that I was fat or almost fat or whatever. I just had the wrong attitude about it. It was bad.
Yeah. Don't use BMI, everyone.
Yeah, body dysmorphia is real and it sucks, everybody.
Someone else said, I'm attracted to like the standard attractive, 32 waist or whatever. But I'll also send a message to people who are like 33 or 34 waist. I mean, I realize that since I'm not in the best shape, people who are in really good shape are not going to be interested in me. So there's no point in sending them a message.
Yeah, I assume that too.
I do assume that. I get that. Like, I definitely don't reach out to really attractive people unless I don't know, not been hooking up lately and like really stretching my my message requests.
Yeah, like that boy that put his mouth on my mouth at the Lucky Ho that was from Venezuela, Venezuela, somewhere. But like then he sent me his Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, you are way too hot for me. What were you doing?
As one of our friends said, he wasn't way too hot for you because he made out with you.
Well, but he is.
But I also like how this person was very generous. They're like, I could go up to 33 or 34 waist. Like,
oh my god,
cool. I'm not those things. Someone else said, sometimes I don't look at the images first. One of the first things I look at is height and weight. I'm fine with someone being short and skinny, or, tall and a little heavier. But yeah, if you are 5'4" and 200 pounds, I'm probably not going to be attracted to you. So that's pretty much what I look for first, is that height weight proportionality.
Okay.
Which I don't understand. I don't know. I look at pictures first. I don't understand how that's not the first thing you go to. Being that I am on Sniffies and always have to ask people for their face picture, that's what I'm waiting for to decide whether to continue the conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. I think people get weird ideas in their head about stuff, and usually I experience that in the age category more than anything. Of like, no one over 35. Okay, how good are you at knowing how old somebody is? If they just don't disclose and you think they're under 35, are they hot now? And then no longer hot when you see their driver's license? Like, be into who you're into and don't be into who you're not. Don't make it about arbitrary bullshit.
Yeah. Yep. There are definitely sometimes I look at people and you're like, oh, you're 35. You're a rough 35. Or 35, you could be way younger than that. People's looks vary all based, when they're the same age. So, yeah, I agree that I think it's a little bit arbitrary to have some of those cutoffs.
Yep.
So yeah, fuck height weight proportionality. I think you're right that it's just a designation people give to something that they want to feel like they're being less offensive than saying no fat people, but that's what they mean when they say that. And it still is a shitty thing to say.
Yep.
What else you got, Mike?
Well, okay. I went through the exercise of asking ChatGPT to tell me what are all of the different kinds of gay and what are their height ranges. And ChatGPT happily spit out a bunch of stuff, and I just wanted us to talk about what ChatGPT said and whether we think that it's right or not, or where we think it's coming from.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it gave me answers for twinks, bears, otters, cubs, jocks, wolves, chubs, twunks, gym bunnies, and pups.
Okay. I don't know. I don't want this to be a boring segment, but I don't know that I have a height range that I would assign to any of these groups.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about all of them, but here's one that I think. Well, okay. Twinks says slim, youthful, and often hairless. Height, let's say anywhere from 5'5" to 6 foot. They're more about being lean and sprightly than towering. And I kind of agree with now, without saying whether I agree with the range or not, I kind of agree that I don't think of twinks as tall.
I do think of twinks as tall.
That's interesting. Well, let's talk about that. What?
I don't know where that comes from or why. I think of twinks as being tall, skinny dudes.
I think of twinks as being stand-ins for they're little, and that littleness can be just body weight, but I also associate that then with also shorter stature.
Yeah, no, I don't. I skinniness and hairlessness, I think, are the two most important features of a twink. But I think of them as being on the taller side. I think because the skinniness really stands out when you're taller. If you're shorter and skinnier, then that doesn't that difference of your height and body frame don't make as big of an impact if you're really tall and really skinny.
Yeah, well, and I might be just perpetuating like internalized homophobia and bad stereotypes about femininity, like in my like internal model here.
Do you think of twinks as bottoms?
Mostly, yeah, I guess I do.
Okay.
And is that accurate? Absolutely not.
There's got
I watch a lot of hung twink top porn, Kyle, and like
literally there's a porn called Twink Top.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, bears, Kyle. Big, burly, and hairy. Height can vary wildly, but they give off a larger than life presence. Let's estimate 5'8" and up. So ChatGPT says like average height and taller and with no upper limit. What do you think?
I would bears might be the only one that I have like no, I think I just talked about twinks. I think of them as being taller. I think of bears as being taller just because I think of them as being bigger all around. So I might put my number at 5'9" or 5'10".
Okay. I mean, I think of bears as being tall also. Yes, absolutely. There was actually I wonder if I still have it up. There was a study. Yeah, there's a study called Physical, Behavioral, and Psychological Traits of Gay Men Identifying as Bears.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it was super interesting because they talked about a lot of stuff. Dick size was one of them, but height. They focused a lot on the height of bears, and but really what they were looking at was how bear like what bears are into, and are bears only into other bears, because that's sort of a stereotype, and they were trying to break that down. And anyway, yeah, they said that bears are at least for them, the stereotype of bears was not tall. That this study specifically thought of bears as being, quote, shorter, hairier, less muscular, weighing more, and having smaller erect penises than non-bears. That they thought
Interesting.
They thought bears would think that about themselves.
Interesting. And smaller erect penises than other bear or than non-bears. That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. I didn't either. But I agree with ChatGPT, not this study. I think of bears as being tall.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
But maybe they're just tall at Diesel. Okay. Let's do a couple otters. Any feelings or thoughts about otters?
I think of otters as being like, maybe this is, again, I don't know if this is height necessarily, but in general, like a little bit smaller than bears. So maybe shorter than bears as well.
Yeah. Well, so ChatGPT said leaner and hairier than twinks, but smaller than bears. Height maybe 5'6" to 6'2". They're versatile both in size and personality.
Oh.
Cubs are obviously going to be shorter because they're younger or smaller bears. Let's see what else. Chubs. What do you think of that?
I don't see, that's when I don't have a height idea around, because I think it's all about weight, not at all about your height.
I agree. And I think of them as being shorter because I assume it's just easier to get chubby if you're shorter.
Oh, is that true?
I don't know.
Maybe it's easier to look chubbier if you're shorter.
Yeah. I'm not a doctor, Kyle. I don't know.
I don't know.
And then this is ChatGPT didn't put this on its list, but what about daddies? What do you think? Like,
ooh, daddies, because of their like air of authority and assertiveness, I feel like then have taller energy.
I agree.
But I don't know if that actually means they're taller in real life, but yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like they say that daddy is just a mindset, and when we had daddy on the show, he's not a tall man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely do the same thing. And that's when I realized that height, the point of the episode, but height, I think I associate with stereotypes of dominance, masculinity, top energy. Obviously the penis size thing, like all of that seems to go together.
Yeah.
And I don't like it because I don't think it's true.
Yeah, I agree that that's common stereotypes, and I think because I defy a lot of those because I am tall and don't fit a lot of those, that
Mm.
I have already broken those stereotypes in my own mind. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I get people's assumptions there. And
What does
that's,
ChatGPT or what does Reddit say, Kyle?
do you want me to tell you what Reddit says?
Yeah, let's ask Reddit.
Okay. This question was posted to Gay Bros by Layers of Me.
God bless gay bros.
This person asked, do you guys have a height preference for your partner? Like women on internet saying they only date men above 6 feet. There is this ongoing meme online that some women only want to date 6 foot tall men, probably because they want to feel small and protected by their guy. But I was wondering what gays think about it, considering that they are same sex and one doesn't need to protect the other. Do you guys completely ignore height? Short ones often look for taller dudes. Taller dudes only want other tall dudes. I am very short, and personally, I would prefer a partner with similar height, no more than 2 inches of height difference. I personally think is weird when one guy is very big and tall and the other very small and almost look like a kid slash teenager. It look wrong to me. If you enjoy this, okay for you, I don't. Also, being next to a tall person is a constant reminder of how short I am, something I don't like. So first, I'll pose this to you. Do you have a height preference for your partners?
No.
Not at all? You don't care how tall your partners are?
No. I do think that there's maybe a minimum,
Okay.
maybe, but like no. No. And some of that is because I think I'm a good person. I think that like I do have some problematic associations between height and like dom sub stuff, but being verse, like whether I top or bottom, that means like sort of not caring about height, like they cancel each other out or something. Like like when you're doing algebra and you can cross stuff off the numerator and the denominator, like they cancel out.
Yeah. But does that mean, do you have, being verse, does the height of the other person play a role in which role you play?
No, it doesn't, or
Okay.
or it used to, and it doesn't anymore.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's because I've like sort of learned that these things aren't true, that there's stereotypes and there's instincts and there's cultural messages, but that they aren't actually true in execution, or at least not universally so.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know.
How about you? Like you like not super short, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's weird when hooking up. I have much wider range in terms of age and height and a lot of things than when dating, when looking for someone to date. When looking for someone to date, I'm looking for someone closer to my age and someone that is, I mean, I think what I think about is the optics of walking down the street holding the hand of someone who's a foot shorter than me and thinking that looks a little weird. I don't have to worry about that if we're just hooking up, like that doesn't matter. But yeah, I would love someone who's within like not a foot difference than me.
Well, we just got done with the age gaps episode, so it's interesting that this had come up. Like, is that because you have feelings about how people would perceive that relationship because of the height difference?
I can't pinpoint like what exactly am I worried about if people see me walking around with a shorter guy. Like, what's the fear there? I don't know. But there is some kind of like I think about us walking down the street holding hands and being judged and not liking that feeling. And so wanting someone who's a little bit closer to my height.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. They would think you're the top probably, which is problematic, but true.
Yeah, probably, which it shouldn't be anyone's business. But like I've, even in my last relationship, had like, been drinking with people I don't know at a party and them being like, who's the top and who's the bottom? It's like, you don't get, I don't know. How does your boyfriend fuck you? Like,
yeah.
Is that really something that you're allowed to ask a random stranger at a party?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the fear is there, but I definitely just think about the walking down the street, what that looks like.
Yeah. Interesting.
Some of the responses, one person said, I don't, but topping a 6'5" bottom gave me a real workout. And someone replied, as a 6'5" bottom, I appreciate your service to our community. And someone else replied to that and said, I'm 5'6", and a 6'7" top made me ride him once, and I felt like I was on a jungle gym. Someone else said, I tend to find guys shorter than me attractive. I'm 6'1", so most tend to be shorter than me anyways. However, it is never something I'd care about seriously. I love me a pocket gay just as much as someone who's 5'7". Someone else said, boyfriend is significantly shorter than me. He's also built like Henry Cavill. I couldn't be happier.
Okay.
So most people said no. Someone else said, no, a cute guy is a cute guy. Like most people are saying, no, it doesn't matter. One person said, honestly, I'd be lying if I said it didn't. I'm bottom and 5'10". I like feeling shorter / smaller than my partner. So I prefer men who are my height or taller. The men I felt more attracted to were about 6'2". So I think,
then of course that makes me wonder, like, actual height or perceived height, because like, we talked toward the top of the show that everybody lies, or is or like their scale is off because of rounding errors and bullshit.
Yeah. That's very polite to call it rounding errors. It's very forgiving. Lastly, someone said, date guys about your size. You will double the size of your wardrobe.
Oh, well, that's,
Can you share clothes with your partner?
Well, so he's taller than me by a little bit, and not a lot though. Like I think he's 6'2". I don't know. Is he shorter or taller than you?
He's taller than me.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I think you're probably the same then. Just like that's just based on perception or whatever. I don't know.
That's just based on looking at you.
Yeah. But he's taller than me, which is like just not grotesquely so or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And our shoes are like close enough in size that we can wear that, and we could share each other's like tops. We do sometimes. So yeah, that was a long-winded explanation to answer a yes or no question. Yes. We can share clothes, just not all of our clothes.
Yeah, gotcha. Is that convenient?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird. You don't
take advantage. It's weird?
A little bit, yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I have my clothes and he has his clothes, and like, wear your own clothes. I'm going to wear my own clothes.
All right. You have some kind of personal space kind of things coming up.
I guess. Like, what if he wears it better than I do? Or what if?
Oh, what if, Mike?
Or what if I don't want his weird clothes? Or like
yeah. Maybe he'll look better in your shirt than you do.
Yeah. Have you shared clothes with partners in the past?
No, usually not. It's I'm giving you crap, but I probably wouldn't share clothes with. I don't know. That might be cute. What? Sharing clothes with a partner, you mean they'd wear one of my many black t-shirts? Like, what are they gonna? Right. They're not going to get that many new clothes out of dating me. So, there's a limited benefit to dating me if you're looking for an extra wardrobe.
He did borrow a pair of underwear once, and now they're just his underwear.
Oh. I could see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did we do it? Did we talk about height?
We talked about height some. Do you have any feelings on your own height? Do you care how tall you are? Do you wish you were taller or smaller?
I am blissfully, like, just slightly above average, and that's so easy to like run under the radar and not care. I think that I have enough height that it's a privilege, but I don't have enough height that I stick out most of the time. Like I feel happy with and at ease about my stature.
I do feel, in spite of wishing I was a little bit shorter, I do feel like there is some like tall privilege. I think that people have a preference. I don't know. most of what the Reddit comments said disagree and said they don't have a preference, but I still think like, I don't know, maybe they're lying or it's a weird, I think people have a preference towards taller guys. And so I think I'm fortunate that I'm taller. So
yeah,
I think I've gotten the benefit out of being taller.
One thing we didn't talk about that I've read in a few places is that like tall people are, right or wrong, more successful at business. Like more presidents of the United States have been tall. Business people, with some exceptions, are typically taller, and that you wonder whether that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like if tall people are more financially successful in society, then do they get hired better to better roles, or do they get promoted because they're perceived as successful because of their height? Like, is there a flywheel there, you know?
Yeah. I would think it's the same thing as being like attractive or being male. Like you get the benefit of people assuming that you're more assertive and more competent and better at your job. And that's the same thing as competent, but I couldn't think of a third thing for my list. But would make positive assumptions about you and then be more likely to like hire you or give you projects or say you're doing well. I would think it's all a similar phenomenon.
Well, it's a little bit what's getting lost with all of this talk of getting rid of DEI at the federal level and pressuring private companies to get rid of their DEI also. This idea that somehow people who are making human decisions are capable of doing them based purely on merit. Like everybody will say, I want it to be a meritocracy. I don't want to know how many DEI boxes your quota is that you've checked off because you hired a black woman, blah, blah, blah. It's racist assholes that are saying all of this.
Yeah.
And, but like, sure, you want it to be about merit and only about merit. I kind of agree with that. Let's make it just about merit. It's the humans that can't do it just based on merit. That's why we need these programs.
Right.
Like if you leave it up to white cis dudes, straight dudes who to hire, they will look at two equally qualified candidates and they will take the white straight cis dude because they're more comfortable because they recognize themselves in that person.
Yeah.
That's
totally.
just like, we have to break out of the self-perpetuating white straight male cis bullshit. And this is how we maybe accomplish that, because it's not about merit and can't be.
You're right. DEI should consider short people as part of their program.
That's right. Short people matter, Kyle.
Short people matter too.
Oh, God. Did we do it?
Yeah, I think we did it.
Okay. I'm going to go find a tall guy and climb him like a tree.
You do it.
Let's take a break.
Okay, break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break. Are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're going to do our gayest and straightest.
Wait, we're going to do our gayest and straightest, but first, Kyle.
What, Mike?
Are you tall?
I'm tall.
You're so tall.
I'm very tall. 6'3", some might say, if you round up.
Great. I love it.
Yeah.
Did you get taller over the break?
Yes. I grew an extra half inch to just finally officially be 6'3", so I don't have to lie.
That makes me so happy for everyone.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Our website's gayishpodcast.com.
We are on social media at Gayish Podcast.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails. It's 585-5-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rate supply.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
Our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109. Speaking of which, we are having our 8th birthday. Our 8th birthday is very, 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 very soon. And we can't wait to celebrate it with you.
Yeah. Should we tell them about the rest of the tour that's happening?
Okay. Please come to the tour. So DC this weekend, a couple of days after this episode drops, is sold out. So sorry. That's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess. But then after that, oh God, what have I done, Kyle?
What?
You can tell them. I can't get my shit to work.
Okay, we are going to be in San Francisco on April 6th at 2 p.m. at Oasis, and we're going to be in Dallas on April 20th at 1 p.m. at the Rose Room.
Yeah, we are. And tickets are available now. Go to gayishpodcast.com/book for more information on the tour and the links to the Eventbrite so that you can purchase tickets. And while you're there, buy our book.
Yeah, go ahead and buy our book. We have all the links there to where you can find our book, Amazon and other links if you are so inclined.
Yeah, and we will have books on hand at the shows if you want to wait and buy one in person. Whether you bring yours or buy one from us there, either way, we are happy to sign it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do our Gayest and Straightest.
Let's do our Gayest and Straightest. I'm happy to go first.
Okay.
If you want me to.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, great. So the straightest thing about me this week is emergency laundry because I ran out of underwear, which is pretty similar to straightists that I've talked about before since losing my laundry room in a giant flood of sewage down in the basement. But that makes it that leads to my gayest though this week, which is that means that I wore all the jock straps. We got gift jock straps from I think probably Joe in Dallas, but maybe someone else. I don't know. And I ran out of underwear, so I wore all the jock straps.
Nice. So good that you had those on hand. Thank you to whoever sent those, probably Joe in Dallas.
Those now used jock straps.
Hot.
Do people want my used jock straps?
Oh, there are definitely people that do. I'm sure of it.
Great.
My gayest is Spotify let me know that Lady Gaga's album was out. It was like, hey, you're a homosexual. You must want to know that this album is now out.
I'm kind of sad that it never suggests anything to me now.
Oh, yeah, you should be. You should take personal offense at that.
Yeah. Call me gay, Spotify.
Yeah. My straightest is I have not yet listened to the album.
Yeah. What have you heard? Have you heard any good things? Like
just the 2 singles that she's released.
Yeah.
I think I've clicked on a couple others and they just sounded kind of generic. So I moved along. I didn't I haven't done a full, let's sit down and listen to this album.
Well, do that and then tell me if I should.
Okay. I'll do that.
Because I trust you implicitly, Kyle.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's a good idea.
It's a lie. Okay. Do we have a listener's Gayest Straightest this week?
We do. This one is from Rick.
Hey, Mike and Kyle. My name is Rick. I'm an elevator mechanic from the Netherlands, and I want to share with you my Gayest and Straightest. But first, I want to share that I'm a big-time fan of your podcast, and I love listening to it as I'm, working the shafts. So my straightest is that I've been working solo this week because my colleague is on a small vacation and my manager hadn't, he didn't send any help for me, so I had to do it all by myself. And I've been wrangling out 80 plus kilogram steel frames out of an elevator shaft. So that's not a lot of fun, but it's manly as fuck, I'd say. And my gayest is that I've been in secrecy practicing doing the duck walk because my boyfriend finds it hilarious and I want to surprise him. Thank you for the amazing podcast.
Well, speaking of the Netherlands, we were just talking about how tall they are.
Yeah, work that shaft, Netherlands.
Work those shafts.
What is, Mike, do you know what the duck walk is?
I don't. I was hoping you did. And
no, neither of us do. Okay, we'll have to look it up after this. Maybe that's our straightest.
I hope it's gay.
I hope it's gay. It
Gay
sounded like
duck
it
walk?
was. Are you going to look it up right now?
Well, it says ball culture.
Oh.
Like ball, like okay, not testicles, Kyle.
I didn't think that.
Okay, like drag queens duck walk, right? Yes, I know what that is.
Okay, I still don't, but that's okay.
Great. Thanks for phoning it in or sending it as an attachment.
Thanks for phoning it in,
Rick. Thank you for your Gayest and Straightest all the way from the Netherlands. And you didn't even phone it in. You sent it as an attachment to an email. So great.
Yeah.
If you want us to play your Gayest and Straightest, send them in. We love to have them.
Yeah, totally.
Once again, please come see us on tour. Please buy our book. Please love us because we love you.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone who's bought our book and rated it in Amazon or Goodreads. We really appreciate you.
And thank you to everyone who's taller than me. And thank you to everyone who's shorter than me. If you're exactly my height, fuck you.
Yeah, suck it. Not literally. And thank you to our super gappers. Thank you to Locomotive, Simon Srirachi, Kaylee Adams, Kit Oliver, Kobe Gordon, Squaggle, Pip, Andrew Bugby, William Bryant, John Crowley, Yost Oshel, Jonathan Montanius, Forrest Nail, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Michael Covington, Just Jamie, Thomas B, Dusty Sands, A. Coleman, Chris Cacciatorians, and Jerome York. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your money. That's it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you. See ya.
See you next week. How's the weather up there? Are you drinking beer, Kyle?
Yeah.
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 You had leftover beer from D&D.
I had leftover beer. Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that your straightest?
No, but it should be.
Yeah. Okay, great.